You want to just skip them, come back?
You want to? You have to go all the way down to Grindstone Dam Project.
You're live.
Thanks. All right, I called September 13th, 2021 Utility Committee to order. Do you want to do a roll call, Karen?
We've Don Cornelius,
Here.
Ron Senna,
Here.
Tim Dodge,
Here.
Adam Sanchez,
Here.
Joe Eby, not present, and that's it.
Thank you. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Or a second? Ron, say second.
I'll second it. I was daydreaming.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, have you had a chance to look over the notes from June?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for the June 7th, 2021 meeting as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I guess we'll go down to procurement. It's gonna be Randy, I guess, on the Grindstone Dam projects.
Okay, we're just trying to finalize the dates for the dam drain cleaning project. Everything's pretty much ready to go. I just sent the IFB and all the documentation to Myrna, and so she has everything she needs. And Eric and I put together some dates, but we've already passed those dates. But we should be getting confirmation sometime this week, and then we're going to go ahead and get that out for bid. Originally, we were going to put it out for 38 days, but now it's probably going to be a little bit longer. And then task order number 5, that's for the conduit and inspection on the structure. That's all ready to go. I've got the task order completed and just trying to get confirmation from Karen and everybody that it's good to go. And that's for $28,872 plus GRT. And task order 6 was for the biannual inspection. That's already signed, and I've got the copy back, signed copy from Ye and Associates. So that should be completed here shortly. And then I also did a follow-up with James Head. I gave him an update on all the information, everything that's going on. And he seemed very pleased. So other than that, that's pretty much it for the Grindstone Dam project.
All right, thanks. I guess these next ones are Eric's too.
All the way down to lift station and force mains in the construction section.
Right, we can do the, lift stations and force mains. We have a contractor on the hook. They're actually mobilizing today. Smithco is the contractor. Working with the Stinsons for some tree removal, and they should be able to start doing their thing, building that lift station at the circle.
Good.
And then from the circle, they'll move over to Sleepy Hollow. And then RJU shop building also had a notice to proceed. There are some RFIs that came in from White Sands Construction about a power line, and then some surveys. So Zeke has actually been following up on all that stuff, and we're working with the contractor on that.
Okay. Have they got that building ordered?
I think I don't want to say if they, I know they had talked about they had done this, they have the site plan, and then they're waiting for the shop drawings. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, you'll go to, is the treatment plant yours, Randy?
Yes, Plant 3?
Yeah.
Okay. The project is moving along pretty quick. We're roughly about 436 days into the project. 133 to substantial, roughly 175 for final completion, which they might get completed earlier. Could be as quick as November or December. And it's roughly 70 to 72% complete. Work in progress. They're working on the HVAC system, chemical feed area. They did the indoor ferric sulfate chemical plant pump installation. The polymer skids installed. They're working on the bathrooms and the chlorine room, which they're almost completed on both. And the big part that they're working on now is the control panel or the SCADA. That's pretty impressive project. There's a lot of wires and a lot of stuff they have to tie in. And actually last week they have it already set up on the screen, and you can actually do the touch tone and or touch screen. And then now we actually have some things that are tied in and they're actually working, but it's going to be a long process because there's a lot of information to capture but they're going to go filter by filter. They're going to start with filter 1, and then once they get that completed and online, they'll go to 2 and 3. And that's a lot of it's going to probably happen within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But they're full blast. They have the programmer, the installer, and everybody out there. It's moving along pretty quick. Today they were doing a shutdown filter 1, and they were going to change out a valve. And then tomorrow they're going to take down filter 2 and then work on some of the flocculators. And then we're going to have clay valve training tomorrow also. But it's pretty impressive on the project. It's a lot of work, but it's going very, very well. So I'll stand for any questions.
All right, thanks. All right. You. With the sewer, water, under the
Yeah.
reports.
Sorry, I apologize. I was out with the engineer on the river and was just pushing it a little bit too far on time. So, I handed out the sewer audit map showing the total number of connections. And so I know Marty and Ashley have been working on cleaning up a couple of properties. So right now our total connected properties is 270, and we have 10 connections pending. And so Adam and Marty have brought on a new staff person, Samantha. And so when she gets her warehouse job kind of sorted out, she'll be able to help out with the sewer audit process too. And that'll be a big help to Ashley and Marty, I know. Any questions about the sewer audit? All right, the water audit. So I updated this. I've actually not presented on it for 3 months. I don't know. Are you that excited that we skipped it for 3 months? So this was a very interesting July this year. So we've got the non-revenue water value is still decreasing as we get the tail end of some of our leases that have dropped off. But on the next page, the trailing 12-month average, you can see that our total water supply has started to curve down, and our non-revenue water has started to shift downwards also. And when you look at the last page, the unadjusted and trailing 12-month average, you can see for July, we had substantially higher water sales than we've had in the last few months, although it was pretty similar to previous Julys. But the dotted black line, that shows our non-revenue water. So we had a huge decrease in non-revenue water with that increase in sales. And you know, we've regularly noticed that too. When we have increased sales, we have decrease in non-revenue water. And so, you know, I'm not sure if as we sell more water, if system pressures are reduced more. I don't know, but there's something that's reducing our non-revenue water when our sales go up. So there's something to that. And then it's also worth noting the dotted blue line, that is the water that Randy is providing in the system. So we also had a decrease in the water that we've supplied to the system, even though our sales increased. So we'll see how August and September pan out. But hopefully some of the leaks that distribution's found over the summer and spring are going to start leading into some reductions in non-revenue water, and hopefully getting Town and Country online. That should help out some too. Any questions on the audit? So asset management, Ashley and I have been working diligently with Systems MD and Centricity GIS to get our geodatabase corrected. We made there were some cascading issues as we updated our GIS server software. And so I think we finally resolved it all. Those of you, departments that have been having issues with CityWorks, we've got it fixed for Forestry Department, and Ashley is just going through and confirming the data for the water utility, sewers, and wastewater plant. So hopefully by the end of the week, we should feel confident that CityWorks is operating again. And I apologize for that issue. It was a lot of head banging against the wall for us, and I imagine for your staff too, as they've had difficulties with CityWorks.
Hey, Eric, is there any way that we can look at changing any of the reporting on that?
Yeah, so just work with Ashley and I, and we can set up any type of dashboard or any type of reporting. We'll get whatever you need set up.
Awesome, thank you.
And I do have, we signed a PO with Centricity GIS that they have a time and material support for us. So if we need to bring them in to help build out anything, we have some funding for that. So the other thing for asset management, Karen Torres with NMED has asked us to give a follow-up presentation at the New Mexico Infrastructure Conference this year in October. It's going to be a completely digital meeting this year, but we'll be preparing a presentation about kind of some of our issues that we've had with our geodatabase and our progress that we're making with getting the valuation numbers updated and building out our maps. Any questions on asset management? And then the risk and resiliency assessment. Ashley and I have started populating the emergency response plan, and I am going to be having a meeting here with the two chiefs and our emergency manager to see how they can help us. A lot of the emergency response plan is just written down phone numbers and contacts for various support entities. And then there's a lot of the plans already pre-populated by the EPA, and so it's just a matter of compiling it. And that will be due by the end of this year, and so we're on track to get that completed. Any questions on that? Okay, you want me to go into the projects?
Yeah, the underground storage and,
Okay. Do you want me to talk about the Alta Reservoir, or you guys already talked about that?
Randy did that.
Okay. So the underground storage and recovery, I'm still waiting a call from John Romero. I'm going to give him a follow-up call tomorrow and left him a message to work with him to coordinate a meeting with the state engineer so that we can get a resolution to our issues that we've had in this preliminary process. And so hopefully, by the end of this month, we'll at least have coordinated a meeting with the state engineer. The Wingfield Park, so I will work with Chris Phillips to prepare a task order so that we can move that into the design phase in conjunction with the master plan. So we'll wait to do any design work until the master plan is done, but we'll get the proposal prepared and get him under a task order to finish out the design. Do I need to jump down to procurement stuff?
Yeah, to the watershed.
You want to do the hazard mitigation? I mean, there's not a whole lot. Karen isn't here to present, but
I mean, so I sat in the meetings. High water mark and Moles and Corbin visited all of the hazard mitigation sites after the flood, and they identified substantial changes in the river elevations and other erosion issues. And so they've gone through each site and identified whether the existing design will work even though there's been some erosion, or if there needs to be slight modifications. And so there was actually very few sites that required a re-engineering of the process, and then a handful of them just required some minor modifications. So I'm not sure when that redesign is going to be done.
and from what I understand, there's not any additional easements or anything we need, or property acquisition or anything like that we need from the flood.
And
Procurement?
procurement, you've got the watershed, and
Okay.
et cetera.
So the RFP for Watershed Projects, we set up a new RFP that followed all the federal procurement policies. So whatever engineer firm that we select, we'll be able to use them to support FEMA projects and other federally funded projects. And the proposals were due at 3 o'clock today, so a couple minutes ago. So I know that at least one company put in for it, and then I'll have to check to see if another company had put in. But we'll be doing the evaluations, and our plan is to have the contract on the next regular council meeting, the October. And we did it a little bit ahead of schedule because we didn't know if there was going to be a special meeting at all in September. And so we just want to get this engineer on board right away so that they can start supporting us on the design efforts for the recent flood event and helping us navigate that process. The next one is the RFP for water resource projects. So I worked with Randy and then Isaac Garcia, and we put together all of our capital project needs for the department, the water resource department. And so we're putting together a RFP that's going to have three separate lots in it. So our intent is to have a multi-award for several engineering firms. So we have a series of water production projects. We've got the redesign of the Upper Canyon surface diversion. We have the Eagle Creek well field phase 3, and then the Alto Reservoir improvements. So whatever comes out of that technical memo that's being produced is our water production section. And then we've got a group of Randy's surveyed all of his water storage tanks, and there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done, rehabilitation on the interior and exteriors. And then there's some complications with some of the yard piping and drainage around some of the tanks. So we'll have projects dealing with tank restoration and restoration. And then we're looking at doing some PRV replacement projects. So Randy's got 3 priority PRV replacement projects that we'll look at, just having an engineer compile the recommended changes, and then we'll just bid them out as one project with 3 PRVs being replaced. And then for the wastewater treatment plant, the fine screens that was put in the budget for Isaac is budgeted about $2 million for that. So we'll get that in there and designed and move forward with putting in those, the finer screens in that entry works, because he's starting to notice debris get into the main filter chambers. So we grouped those together just in an effort to try to reduce administrative efforts. So rather than having 3 separate RFPs, we'll just put them all together in one, and it should be cleaner that way, or quicker that way. And then the master planning and rate analysis. I submitted a draft RFP to Karen Gutierrez that includes the scope of work that the council reviewed and approved. And then I also added in some sections about the 4 program areas. So I cut some of the old master plan for the sewer collections. I cut out an introduction and put that in there. Randy and I have been working on a distribution system sampling plan, and we just wrote a new introduction for the water system, so we added that. And then I copied some of the operations and maintenance manual for the wastewater treatment plant and added that, so that there's some details for people to actually work off of, and they know what they're getting into when they put in for projects with us. But the intent is for that project to be advertised by the end of September. And we'll look at having the contract awards on the December regular council meeting. And if we need to do presentations, we'll do those on the workshop meeting in December. Move on to the stormwater.
Yeah, just keep going.
I'll just make a recording next month, and I'll just hit the play button for you guys. So stormwater management, we've got the contracts all awarded. It's my understanding that the stormwater management project is going to happen towards the latter part of the construction project. So do you know when White Sands is starting yet?
They are going to submit for the permit, so on the building side, that's where they're at right now. So.
Okay. And then I talked to Clint Taylor with the school district, and they'll have the easements for the stormwater on their property on tomorrow's meeting, their regular meeting. So I finally it only took a lot of discussions with Clint so that he could convey that to their insurance company, that we're not just putting in a giant pond that has standing water in it. And so once they knew that, it's not holding water and it would drain water in about a half an hour, they were all fine with everything. Did we already do it? We want to do Eagle Creek?
Yeah.
Okay. Brown and fault wells, we had Stewart Brothers Drilling came out and they did the washover for both Brown and fault wells. And they were able to get out the surface casings for both wells. And then for the fault well, there was a PVC casing that they were able to pull. So that's good. We would have had to spend about, I think it was $50,000 for the ad alternate to drill out that PVC. So that was a good day to pull that out without drilling. They brought in a company called Hardy Hole Drilling to do the reaming. And so they reamed out Brown well to 30 feet, and then they reamed out fault well down to 20, and then they had to give up. The rig that they had wasn't moving any further. So today they brought out a new rig. I haven't been able to go out there because I've been out with this other engineer, but they have a larger rig and they're finishing the reaming for that job, and then they'll set the surface casing down to 50 feet. We'll get the well all set up, and then we can do the water quality test so that we can get the approval from an NED so that we can pump those wells hopefully right away. But everything is going smooth so far with that project. Over the next month, they'll be doing the tie-in to the commingled line for plant 3. So both wells will be tied in. And then they're building a retaining wall at fault well. And then after that, they'll start doing the vaults and process plumbing. The closeout process?
Restoration in the town and country, I
Okay,
believe.
yep, sorry, Adam.
So restoration of existing sewer lines and manholes. The lining is complete of all the lining process. MP Travis, the subcontractor for SAK, had just completed River Trail line replacement. He is moving to North Loop next, and there's a point repair there. And then the Fern Trail is the final, I guess, point repair kind of new line that MP Travis will be doing. Then that'll be done. With that, during this last flood in July, we had them, as SAK and ProPipe, re-camera the sewer lines to look for any debris or damage to the lines, and they're at Country Club as we speak now. So they've made it from Upper Canyon down to Country Club, and so far everything looks good. They did find some debris in the lines and the manholes, but nothing major catastrophic that they found.
No damage.
No damage. Town and country, water and sewer rehabilitation. Mary Drive sewer line is installed. Last week they were completing the manholes. The manholes were set. The elevations and the drawings were wrong from the engineering firm. So they had to reorder the cones for the top of the manholes. The engineer did take care of that. It was a mistake on their part. They did complete the installation of the sewer line on Valencia, and they're about 40% complete on Chavez Road. They are going to start cleaning Mary and Valencia and kind of detailing the road, now that the manholes are set. That way they can start on one road at a time with the water line instead of, kind of jumping around like they were. So hopefully we'll make those homeowners a little happier.
So most of the people been glad to see you to get tied in, or?
There's a lot of people that are really happy to be tied in up in that area. I think it's an older area, and the septics were starting to fail. And then there's been a lot of sales. Their houses are turning over, and they're having to get permitted with their septic systems, and they're just not passing. So
Well,
I think they're happy.
We've let way too many people tie into that Burgoville 4-inch line up there.
Yes, sir. And that's another thing. It's going to be a really good thing once especially the water and the roads and everything are done in that area.
We're good. Okay, I guess you're on the closeout of Eagle Creek and Gatlin.
So, told you, John, that I was gonna have that done, but we finally got all the clearances from NMED to run that well into the system. Before, we had only done a shakedown on turning on the well, and then we flushed it out. So when we finally went to run it into the system, we got a substantial amount of back pressure on the pipe, and then we started getting water coming up on Gavilan Canyon Road. And so we thought that there was something that was holding back the water and that there was a water line break. But when we found the area where the water was leaking, it was an abandoned in place old water line that was cracked open. And come to find out that the line that all of us assumed was what the line that we were to tie into is actually an abandoned in place line. And so it's I could take anyone out there and show them the system, and everyone would have said to tie in the system where we tied into. So we need to figure out the process pipe plumbing in that area. So we've contracted with High Mesa to do comprehensive utility locates in that area. And then we've contracted with Moles and Corbin to create an as-built for the Little D site so that we know where all the lines are and how it's all plumbed together. And then Moles and Corbin will design a new connection into the appropriate line so that we can get that middle Gavilan well running. But the Apple Orchard well is running smooth, and Randy and Jan have been operating that for the last couple months without any issues.
As far as that, the Middle Gavilan site, we did a lot of exploratory, Randy's crew and, our crew did a lot of exploratory digging out there, and we GPS lines and everything, but, we even killed old lines that that were abandoned in there, but, that whole site is almost like they just dropped toothpicks out of a helicopter and said, okay, we're going to tie them in. So we've done our best we can, before this project. And like I said, that line was the one coming through the old meter, it looked like, and that's the one they tied into. And apparently,
Yeah,
something different.
if we showed any of you guys a diagram of it, you would have connected to that line. So that ties into the RFP that we're advertising for water resource projects, and that's what I'm also talking about, cleaning up some of these tank sites. So next year's budget, we'll probably look at trying to budget a project to take out all the abandoned in place assets in there and clean up some of that process plumbing, because there's some, we just need to get that stuff out of there. It shouldn't be as confusing as it is there.
Well, it looks like there's nothing under completed projects, so everything's normal. I guess that unless somebody has anything else, that's it. Karen's got October 4th for our next one.
Do we want to put a at-large on here?
What's that?
Do we want to make a motion to put an at-large member for the next meeting? Or find an at-large
Need
member?
a replacement for Frank Potter.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Okay, well, I'll get with Karen, like I said, and Tim and Ron, and see
Okay,
if we can
do
get
we
some-
need a motion to do that?
I don't think we need a motion. I think we should put it on the agenda.
And then
Huh?
have a vote on it
Okay,
as an agenda item.
yeah, if we can find somebody else, that'd be good.
Okay.
All right, well, I guess we're adjourned. Thank you, guys. So, Eric, have you talked to the solar guys?
All the companies that keep calling me?